Hello. So, this video is going to be about solitude. You know, starting this journey, I knew that I wanted to intentionally spend a lot of time with myself just to reflect, just to sit still, just to be, whatever that is for me. And, in doing that, you don't go out as much, or you really don't do a lot of peopling. But I will say that as a introvert, I don't do any of that as much anyway. And so I could, in a sense, have been practicing solitude more often than not before my healing journey, but I feel like it's different since I started this journey because of the intention behind it. So I purposely use my me time to do more exploring within my mind about my life and what I want for myself. So, my main thing that I have about practicing solitude and loving this space that I am in, I was a little concerned about just future prospects because I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I'm single. I have been single for a very long time. And prior to starting this journey, I, dabbled into the dating pool here and there and a few long-term situationships. And so this year, having purposely seeking singlehood, as in not engaging, not dating, no relations, none of that stuff. This year was just for me. And I actually got really active about no relations around March. And it's just been me. And I have been loving this space. So when I say that what the concern is this, the concern is having found so much peace, so much happiness that I'm at a place where I don't want to invite anyone into what feels like such a sacred space and place in my life. I don't want anything to disrupt that. Like this peace that I found, this joy that I have, I will protect. I will protect it with everything that I have. That is how important this is to me. That's how free I feel about this whole thing. So it's like, oh my goodness, will I even open myself up to a future relationship or anything? I don't really like the word relationship anymore. It's connection. Because it's just yeah, I just ain't vibing with that word these days. Anyway, so yeah, when I open myself up to wanting to connect to another human being in the future, and I feel like I do. I feel like I could want that connection with another person. eventually. But I am 33, and I feel like I just need a few years to really come to myself and really hone out my boundaries. And so I'm just like kind of worried that I may be getting too comfortable in this. And when I say a partner, I do mean in a romantic sense, a romantic partner, because other connections can be just friends, for having different friends for different reasons that serve different purposes in my life. And that's fine and dandy. But it was really just the romantic part because I feel like I read and I hear about dating today, and it is just a mess for a lot of people. And and I'm just like, ain't no way, ain't no way, ain't no way. But also, when you do process, and that's again projecting other people's experiences onto yourself, we need not to do that. So I am open to a sense of a happily ever after, if that really even, you know, exists with one person. I'm just all over the place. So I haven't even figured all of that out. Like I don't know if I want to be a serial dater or date for a commitment, but I don't feel like marriage is on the table for me. That's just how I feel today, right now. I don't feel like marriage is for me. I've already established that children aren't for me. And I'm really not seeing a lot of child-free couples or whatnot. I'm not seeing a lot of that. And that's another thing. Me being child-free, the chances of finding a child-free person, I don't know what those odds really look like. I'm not seeing a lot of it myself with my own two eyes. So solitude it is. Solitude it is until all of that figures out. But I'm just like so happy in this space. And don't get me wrong, like every day is not all sunshine, but I don't find myself dealing with loneliness. And I feel like that is because I can spend so much time, and I spend a lot of time in nature. I spend a lot of time doing photography and just sitting at the beach. I try to go see the sunset almost every day, and on an off day, I'll go see the sunrise. If I have an entire free day, I go to the state parks. It's I'm just so in tune with nature right now that I really don't have a lot of time to think about, what it means to be lacking a romantic partner. And then I'm just really in my own space, and I'm loving this so much that it's just kind of a thing to wonder about. But solitude and loneliness for me, they don't mean the same thing. And to be lonely is to be longing for something or someone. And I feel like when you are dealing with something like that, because I will say initially when this whole thing started, when I chose to cut myself off from the previous partners that I did have, it was very, very lonely, especially being used to keeping company for quite a while in long-term partners. And it was lonely. Like, and you go through that whole thing where you block people, or and you just like, oh my god. Or like you delete the number and you want to check in or something and you can't find the number and da 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 da. You know, I did the whole thing. But it's like I said, when you start to really occupy your time with putting the intention behind learning about yourself, you find the loneliness getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I can think about, you know, future or possible prospects and all of that stuff, and even about the past, and not get all down and sad and, you know, stuff, because at that point it's just me reflecting. So right now, within the solitude regarding future partners, it's just making sure that my boundaries are in place, because I know that I am one that did not have any boundaries at all whatsoever for anyone. And that was not a good place to be. That's not a good place to be in, because you set yourself up to be taken advantage of and doing stuff that you shouldn't be. And so um and so that's also how solitude has been good to and for me. Honestly, it's been the best thing that I could do for myself. And I want this to be normalized. I want this to be celebrated. I want every person to be able to do this without attaching the feelings of loneliness to it, because I feel, my personal opinion, when you practice this for a while, you really learn how to make yourself happy. You really assume responsibility for your happiness. You learn how to take the past where you have placed your value, your worth, your happiness in the hands of another, and you snatch it back. You own it. It's yours, and you have to make it happen for yourself. And therefore, when you take the time to be alone in your presence and present within your presence, then when you fully accept yourself and you learn how to love yourself and you learn what makes you happy on your own, when you do get back out into the dating world, guess what? Anyone that comes into your life would just be adding to what you have already built within and for yourself. And that, I feel like, is the big purpose of practicing solitude. It is just to take all that you have given freely and you take responsibility for it. Because once you assume that responsibility, therefore you can protect it and not place it in anybody else's possession but yours. Because after all is said and done, you are responsible for you, no one else. Because life is not guaranteed for you to say, oh, you know what, I need you to make me happy. That person can break up with you or drop dead. And then what? You know? And that's just to put it bluntly, because there is no guarantees. No guarantees. So that's all I had to say about that. That's all I had to say. So have a great day, and until next time.